And we should get started any moment here. I've got Tom in live with me this morning. Mr. Busby, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I tell you, the sometimes sometimes you always have to remind yourself, don't overload your boat because uh, even really great markets like silver and gold have pullbacks, and you gotta be alert to those pullbacks because you got too many positions on if it bothers you, and I think I ended up with too many positions on, and I got bothered by it, and so I started, taking some corrective action on just a normal correction. It'll be back up, but I don't like the pain and suffering that you have to go through when you overload your boat. So my lesson of the day for me personally is just be a little bit less aggressive, maybe is a good way of saying it. But anyway, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at everything right now for the week. If you put things in perspective, everything's very bullish in that sector, and you just got to be patient. This morning, I want to tell you, Chuck, we really are making, I think, the people in my SPX that are there every Tuesday and Thursday with me from 9:45 to 10:30 are learning so much. Like this morning, it was clear to me that it was a out market that first 30 45 minutes. I said, look, this market's not going down today, I can tell you that, just based on the numbers, but it's not going up right now. And if you're going to buy a straight call, or yes, Neil, you should. We put out a alert, check your alerts. We did that, Neil. Absolutely. We did spread that long silver SLV position out in December because you should, if it's not, if your timing's off like ours was a little bit. But anyway, stay in tune with what I'm saying. But this morning, I told people in SPX, I said, this is not a buy, it's not a sell. And sure enough, they sucked premium out during that 45 minutes. If you're going to trade the SPX the way we're going to trade it very successfully, you have to be very disciplined, and that's what I'm teaching. And but that doesn't keep you from making money like in the diamond. I told people, I said, look at the Dow. The Dow, if you go check it, if you go check the Dow, okay, then I said this morning the Dow's got buyers, and the Dow is done nothing but go up. And you go look at the reference bars. We'll do that when we go live, but you look at the reference bars and you see how the Dow is really, they've been adding points to the Dow, which is sort of interesting, Chuck, when you think about it. Because yesterday the Dow was clearly a negative market for most of the day, you know. And so by looking at these seven sisters and looking at things, you really do get that perspective, whether it be long, short, or out. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, Tom, I couldn't agree with you more that when you look at the Dow, great performer today. Why? Because it's got to catch up. Like when we look at those month opens, the S&P and the Nasdaq are trading right around their month opens. Dow's still got work to do. So that helps it in terms of, being able to have strength. But when you looked at reference bar 3 this morning in the S&P, this is what struck me. The high of RB3 was just below the open of the month, and the low of RB3 was just above the open of the day. So you talk about a market trying to show you, hey, I'm not ready to do anything big. That's a pretty good indication.
yeah, and I'm sitting there watching it because the great thing about that SPX trade, Chuck, is if it's got the horses running together, you can take a $200 investment, turn it into four, five, $600 pretty quick. And that's the trade you're there for on that type strategy. Okay, and you got to be disciplined to do it, and that's what we're teaching. About the discipline portion of it. But let me just let me check a couple things real quick. Uh, we had a TQQ trade. Did anybody make that TQQ trade we did yesterday? The TQQ trade. Anybody make that trade we did yesterday? Well, I'm having fun sort of paying you for being here, and I can do that with the TQQ. It basically sets up every day. And anyway, there's a trade right there, the TQQ. 6% doesn't sound like a lot, but that was an early profit, uh, and no heat or anything like that. I think it's just a nice trade. But I would remind people, okay, if you're in TNT, you're getting about 10 minutes of my trading uh, experience when I actually do trades in train trade. But if you're in TNT, I'm doing this quite a lot in TNT. So I wanted to remind people to make sure you sign up for TNT, because I'll probably do at least 2 or 3 more trades today on TNT, just because I've got that short term nature where we go out to tomorrow or next day or whatever. But that was a Jonathan called and said, hey, we booked a profit on the train and trade plus TNT. And I said, well, people need to know there's a connection there. Does everybody understand? I'm with you here live for an hour, right? And we're tracking those trades in TNT, but TNT is a 24-hour market. I'm finding opportunity. Okay. Cheryl, no, they're not. You know, don't be afraid of day trades. Just learn what to do if you can't take a day trade. And we teach that over and over again. You got to have if you're trading at all, you better know how to avoid doing day trades. And it's pretty simple, really, if you think about it the way I think about it. Just sell a different strike price and get out of both trades the next day. Sometimes you make a little bit more, sometimes a little less, but that's the way you can do these trades that if you can't afford a day trade. Does everybody understand that? We spent so much time. If you go to the YouTube channel, there's lesson after lesson after lesson on how to avoid day trades. But I'm not going to penalize anybody that can do day trades. And so I want to share that expertise, and then you can take it and build your account a little slower doing it that way. That's the value of it. Okay. Anytime you take overnight risk, do you understand why Wall Street does that to you? Wall Street wants to take your money with that stupid rule, the pattern day trade rule. And so you got to figure out ways to survive where they don't take your money. You know, you don't just put a trade on and hope it works. You have a strategy. And the strategy is you always have a backup plan. Okay? You always have a backup plan. Does everybody understand that? Backup plan. Anyway, this happens just about every day. There's very few days that go by we don't find something to make money with in our T-Buzz Talk and Trade. And I want to mention that it is tied into anything we do. Risk involved in trading, we talk about that all the time. We're not going to say that everything's going to be perfect. We're going to say sometimes you have a mistake or two, right? Okay. Jonathan, you did a great job covering this. Why don't you and Chuck cover this portion of it, the weekly trade letter?
Yeah, the best part about this, I think, is probably it's only $9.99 a year. So what is it? It's a weekly trade letter that's issued on Monday after the close. This week was issued on Tuesday since Monday was a holiday, but most weeks, of course, it'll be on Monday. Again, it's released after the close. The goal is just to basically get Tom's top thoughts that he has for the week to you in a really concise and good format here. The weekly trade letter, it's about 2-3 pages, I guess it is. Get a broad market update. The first thing you see is a broad market update. So Tom's real market thoughts on what's going to happen this week, the big picture, which is the most important part. Then we narrow it down. We give you charts on the SPY, the QQQ, USO for crude, GLD for gold, and TLT for bonds. That's the majority of our 7 sisters, which is also critical when we look at a bigger picture viewpoint. And we use MTI by DTI charts for that So you can see what's in a buy signal, what's in a sell signal, or what's in a stay out signal. An example of that is GLD last year, or not last year, last week on the trade letter on the GLD chart. If you did nothing but look at the charts, GLD had a green arrow buy signal that day. And you see what it's done since then. GLD, I don't know how many points it went up, but went up a great amount. Nice little breakout. So that's what you get there. And then we go through key news for the week. We had news this morning, and we have big news tomorrow morning. The employment situation. Earnings to watch. It's going to be important in the thick of earnings season. We just got done with that. Then you get some very good actionable points here from Tom on the weekly Magic 5. He gives you 5 tickers that he's looking to trade for the week. We give you a trigger price and support and resistance so you can kind of plan your trade with where you want to take profit and where you are going to be thinking about that the trade is wrong. You know, you're wrong on your trade. There's always 2 possibilities on the trade, 2 real possibilities. Either you're right, you make money, and you got to plan on where you're going to make money, or you're wrong and you lose money. You got to plan for that. Or you're going to say, throw in the towel, this trade doesn't work. That's okay. We're going to have losers. Let's move on. But get out of your losers. Then there's a special opportunity of the week. It's usually 1, maybe 2 tickers that Tom says, this is what I'm really eyeing this week. Sometimes it's in new stocks, brand new stocks. Like this week was a brand new stock. And you really don't want to just, you know, it's a special opportunity for the week. But in the instance like today, or if there's not today, this week, or any week that might be a new symbol for you, Tom doesn't just introduce a new symbol for 1 week. All right. Tom introduces a new symbol for, you know, there's not a set time frame on it, but it's longer than just 1 week, even though the special opportunity is focused on the week ahead. But that's the T-Buzz Weekly Trade Letter. Bunch of value there, just $9.99 for the full year.
Yeah, Alfred, you make a good point. A $60 return, if I was risking a full $1,000, so we're going to ride it to the grave, I'd agree with you. But that's not the way I trade. But you're not doing the math. If you take a 6% return, okay, and multiply that 6% return, I think a CD pays you about 4% a year. And I think my track record speaks for itself if you follow what I do. But just for fun, let me ask some of the people who've been with me for a while, okay? What is would you say, my accuracy rate on trading? You know, is it 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%? What is it? And Jennifer says 80%. Okay, so that's one thing. There's an 80, pretty much 80% is a good number, 80%. So let's just think about it. If you made 6%, which would be the lowest that you'd make, 6% probably, times 8 would be, and I think of trades as 10 trades, not 1. So that'd be what, 8 times 6 would be 48% on 10 trades, right? Is my math right? Yeah, right, Jonathan? So the key would be, Carol says in June I was 100%. Thank you, Jen, for reminding people. But if you did that, then after 10 trades, you'd make 480%. 8 times 6 is 480. Well, 48%. I said 48%, right? Okay. And so we got two losses that you got to be inside that to make money on that approach. But if you take the average gain that I've done, you're probably at 25%. So let's take that. So 8 times 25%, so almost 6, or whatever, that counts losses too. So I would take 8 times 25% and say that's about 180% every round trip. I don't know if that sounds any better to you, Alfred, but you had to see it to believe it. because it's just part of trading. Okay. Now, Jonathan, which one did we sell? Remind me which one we took the profit on. What was the number?
The TQQ trade was the one from yesterday.
Yeah, no, I know, but what was the strikes?
85.83.
85.83, and you covered at what price?
I want to say 11 cents, maybe 16 cents. We put profit on 2 of them this morning, actually.
Okay, 16 cents. And where did you sell it at?
When you said get in, it was around 26 cents or so.
Okay, so you got out at, say, 16 cents?
Yeah, that's where it was. Yep, we got up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the same trade, and other people that's been with me a while, I've got the same trade. I didn't take profit where Jonathan did it. I've got it to buy back at 7. I want to be out of the trade before the end of the day. And again, I thought the market would be higher today, and I'm right about that. So I guess that's the difference. Making 7 cents would probably be calculated a little bit different, be 21 cents. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think the point is that who is this? Alfred, you're basing an opinion on one trade that Tom gave where he made money.
By the way, I didn't charge you for it. I just gave it to you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's almost unappreciative, isn't it? Somebody hand you 6%. Anyway. Yeah, Carrod said, here's another one that you made. You turned $800 into $1,100. That's another one I did using what I did. Thanks, Carrod. That's nice. Anyway, my retirement center. Now, I just covered something at 10. What was that? Oh, nice trade. Okay. You got to have fun, Jonathan. You got to have fun. Okay, the retirement. So what is it? Well, it's something that I'm sharing with you the second half of the year. Started on July 21st. We have a flash meeting set up for tomorrow afternoon, right at 2 o'clock.
Yep, the slide is correct. That's right.
Yeah. And so the idea here is I'm going to share with you what I'm doing in my retirement account. And if you want to do it at the same place I'm doing mine at Tasty Trade, there's a referral link you can get from Jonathan. But we're going to have some fun there. I'm getting everybody trained and everything. And I'm not charging for this, again, because I'm just trying to say, hey, here's a little payback for being great customers. And so if you don't want to take it, I understand. But if you do, you're smart, because at the end of the year, you're going to sit there and go, how did he do that? Exciting times. That's how we did it, right, Jonathan? Exciting times. But in-person futures class is September 22nd, 23rd. If you live in Florida, you ought to call Kelly Barber and get there, because that's going to be a heck of a class on the 22nd, 23rd, where we trade and train and have a real good day, so to speak, or 2 days together. That's an in-person class coming up. By the way, you get a free year online in my futures. Right now it's $1,500. Jonathan, remind me to tell Adam to change the price on that. I'm gonna raise the price on that. It's just too valuable, meeting every Monday night and putting these things out each week. We gotta charge what we really should charge for it. I think I'm gonna take it to 2,000. Okay.
Okay, noted.
Yeah. Carla's impatient. I got 26 trades in a row in my one ticker. She says, I've been in this program for a week and no trade. You know why, Carla? Because after the first 3 days of the month, I launch into a lot of trading. So that's determine when I'll make trades. You heard me say last night, I believe in putting the odds in your favor. That's what I do. I put the odds in my favor. Would you rather, Carla, would you rather wait to next week and make a very successful trade or two rather than than just fly from the seat of my pants and do a trade? I'm just asking you. Jay says she needs to learn that out is a position. That's right. No, I know, Carla, but I think it gives me a chance to explain my style. Okay. I do a lot of thinking before I want to put your money. The funniest thing, Carol just said, my book isn't called Lose to Win. Carol, you are a sharp cookie. That's funny. And then Jennifer types in, she's a newer student, patience pays, doesn't it, Jennifer? I don't know. I think it does. Wait for the right setup. I've never been accused for under trading. I mean, not trading. Been periods of times I'll take a watch and see after that 3 days, but generally speaking, that sets up my month for 3 days. Monday through Friday, we'll be here in September. Boy, these are some good comments. We ought to make these insights. Overtrading is one of the most common faults of new traders. Yep, they got money. Here's the problem. They got money in their account. They're ready to go, and they jump in and lose money. How many people's done that? I'm raising my hand. Not saying you're going to win every time you trade, but you got to have a process. And that's what all this education is about. Why do you think I'm here every day at 11 o'clock in this training trade in August, sharing with you education with Chuck and Jonathan and Adam, making sure you understand this is a serious business, okay? This is a serious business. You think they're going to pay you money if you don't understand what you're doing? I don't think so. I don't think so either. Kevin says, if you want to trade every day, get my Genesis program. Yeah, it comes every day, doesn't it? Great call, Kevin. www.dtitrader.com/TNT, cooking with gas, get joined. All trades are tracked through that. In my opinion, the market's going higher. I told you that yesterday. It was a lot lower prices when I told you that, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm waiting for the setup where everybody can follow along and learn in the month of September. I wish Jonathan would have put my record in here for everybody to see. We got a lot of new people, Jonathan. You really ought to post that because they don't know who I am. They just got here maybe by accident, maybe by referral, who knows? But the point is, if you put that record in there, I think people get a sense of confidence knowing maybe I know what I'm doing, okay? And I'll just tell you off the top of my head, we're about 92% accurate in May. As Carol's already stated, we were 100% accurate after a series of about 35, 36 trades in June. We dropped down to about 86% accurate, I think, in July. August was probably somewhere around there, and we've got September going right now. That's sort of how we stand. So basically, if I give you a trade, odds are in your favor. Yeah, there's the accuracy rate, 93% accurate in May. So notice I had 44 trades. That's a lot of trades. 44 trades. I had 27 trades in the services, but I also had Sawgrass that I was 100% effective for about 10 trades there. Okay. Yeah. July had 6 losers, 86% accurate. August had 82% accurate. In September, we're just getting started. That sort of gives everybody a feel. Now, today's focus is building a trading plan. We wanted to spend time talking about that because we're about to launch into a lot of trading. And I wanted you to know my thinking. You don't have to do what I say, but you'll learn to do what I say if you've been around as long as I have. Every trader must establish a realistic goal. For example, if you got $5,000, you're not going to make $100,000 unless you go buy a lottery ticket that hits. For my short-term option trading, I want to focus on high accuracy to produce winner after winner at a very reasonable 20% average profit mark. That's the way I think about it. You're new, you can let it expand out. I've got Deb, I think of Deb, good friend of Carol's and mine, but she usually sets her profit goals at 20, 30, and 40. 3 different levels. And she's trading a little size, so she can do that. My goal for short-term option trading, that's my goal. What's your goal for option trading? What's your goal? Alfred, what's your goal for option trading? And how long you been trading? Hey, Deb, how you doing, girl? Said I remember. Of course I remember you, Deb. You know, I did a one-on-one with Deb, and I was very impressed because she's very religious about 3 different tick trading trends. She's read my book, you know, 20, 30, and 40. Tell South Africa I said hello. Now, what's your goal for the next 3 months, 6 months, or 3.5 years? You need to set a goal and a process in place that lets you obtain your goal. Let me give you a story here. In 2009 through 2014, I decided that silver would be a great long-term investment. Now, if you ever traded precious metals, you will find out silver coins are a lot better than silver bullion because when you ever get ready to sell, they're easier to sell from that standpoint, okay? And they usually have some extra value attached. So from 2009 to 2014, I bought silver on a monthly basis, okay? Had a set number of dollars I did it over that 5-year period. I gave half of that silver to my 2 sons. Now, the average cost that I paid was somewhere between $5 and $6. That was 2009, 2014. How much do you think those coins individually are worth today? This was a plan I put in place back then, okay? What do you think those coins are worth today? They're Canadian Maple Leafs, to give you an idea, okay? 2009. How much do you think they're worth? Well, silver is worth $41 an ounce, Peter, so you got to add about $5. I'd say somewhere between $45 and $52, okay? It's probably the worth of those coins. So if you do the math on that and take 6 into that, that's quite a move, isn't it? But how did I get there? Well, I recognized silver was undervalued at the time and wanted to buy it over that time period. And did. Now, and they're beautiful coins. See them? See them right there? I had to pull out. I didn't know how many I had. I pulled it out and looked at it, but it was done with a plan and thing. So if you're going to work with me, I want you to establish some goals because I want you to succeed. You take the risk capital and plan to deploy it using a process. I deployed a process in doing what I just talked about. Okay? Now the process goes from 0 to 100% invested. I don't deploy 100% of the capital all at once. I've got to ease into it. I divide my capital in different silos with many goals for each. So I used to do it divided by 10. The older I've gotten, I divide it by 5. My way of being diversified is being things that pay me. I learned that over the years, okay? Everybody always said, always be diversified. Well, diversified to me means being in things that are paying you. Y'all agree with my definition or Wall Street? It's your choice. Now, 20% of my money goes in consistent, stable stocks, probably with dividends. And I give Carol credit for introducing me to a website that pays a lot of dividends on a weekly basis. So I'm very aggressively using that 20% for that. So in effect, if you do the math on it, that money is growing every week with those dividends. It's sort of a stable part of this portfolio, okay? All right. 40% goes in growth stocks, such as NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, just to give you a few. There's other ones, but I just named those off the top of my head when I was talking to Jonathan this morning. But 40% of that portfolio is going to go in growth, okay? No more than 15 or 20% in stocks are very speculative. You know, stocks like Elon. I like Elon. I bought it in my retirement account, and I believe in the concept. And I think if I hit it right, and I think I did on timing, that stock could be maybe a 4 to 5 to 1 payout. So that's a stock I have inside my IRA. %, and this is something I've added over the years. It used to be precious metals, 10% precious metals, but now I've learned how to make money with what I call the hottest sector out there, Bitcoin. So I do about 10% of that money inside of Bitcoin, okay? Now, the other 10% is options trading. This is one reason I like Tasty Trade. Inside Tasty Trade, I can also trade futures. And so that's a big plus for a guy like me that trades a lot of futures, right? So if I'm successful in there, and you will see what I do, you will see, wow, this is quite a diversification. We'll know on December 31st. Remaining funds can be deployed into most stable investments that still offer appreciation, such as index ETFs or utility ETFs. A good place to, that's a catch-all that you can have money that you don't really invest into ETFs that are stable and utility ETFs. I like utility stocks, have for years, especially if you hold on to an over year reinvested dividends. They're great investments in my opinion. Have been my whole career. I like XLU in that category, XLU. I started buying it around 30. It's about, I haven't checked it lately, probably around 80 if I had to guess, somewhere around there. XLU, very stable. Gives you about 26 diversifications in different utilities. Saves you a lot of time. The next step of any trading plan is answering the question, how do you enter the market? Well, you can enter the market, I think, the best time to enter the market, and that's using my method, okay? After the third trading day of each month. Once you got a foundation for stocks that you're interested in. And this is the way I do it. I strongly recommend using the foundational plan for the 3-day algo for entering any stock. Now, Jonathan, explain this to everybody, if you will.
Yeah, the FTD stands for first 3 days. That's the first 3 trade days of each month, which today is the 3rd trade day of the month of September. The way the process goes is during those 3 days, each day of trading is going to mark a high and a low, but for the first 3 days, we mark the highest high from those 3 days and the lowest low from those 3 days to give us an FTD range, of FTD algo range. First 3 days range of the market, a high and a low. Now, if we look at the S&P so far this month, the FTD algo high-low range actually all came from the first day of September. As of right now, we might end up making a new high today. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. But right now, the range from the first 3 days of the month of September is on the S&P futures is a 64.91 high and a 63.71 low. Now, once you get past the first 3 days of the new month, a bullish setup occurs when you can get a stock that's breaking higher above its FTD range, above the FTD high. Or if we were in a bear market, we would be looking for bearish stocks that are falling below their FTD low, so below the range. Same process in bullish markets or bearish markets. We just look up in a bullish market, and of course, we look down in a bearish market. Of course, you always have to have a point where you think you're wrong about the trade. And the nice thing about establishing a frame with the FTD algo is the other side of the frame can act as your initial stop loss, or your all bets are off. That point, that line in the sand where you say, maybe I'm wrong here and need to get out, maybe wait for next month or look for a different opportunity altogether. Of course, you're not going to find anything perfect out there, but from what we found in our studies and our live trading, and you saw it in Tom's record a moment ago, this process really is critical to everything we do on a month in and month out basis. And you'll see at tomorrow's Train and Trade, we're going to build a list of stocks based on the FTD algo, and we'll produce a spreadsheet that you'll have a link to track during the month.
Yeah, and what he's going to build is a free service that we do for you because we want you to do well. And if you learn how to use this foundational approach, then you know how to follow what we're doing. And let me just tell you something. Was anybody ever heard something like buy silver now, it's going to $40? Anybody ever heard that? You might have heard that from people, right? Buy it at 40, it's going to 300, right? Okay. Well, what I've found each year starts in January, and that 12 months is isolated for that year. And if I can make money in that year, at the end of the year, I can reevaluate everything and get ready for a new year. But each month starts out my plan for how I invest. And I'll have some stocks carried over, like Berkshire. I talked about Berkshire. I've been long Berkshire now for 2.5 years because every year it's gone higher. But I was almost ready to kick it this year, but I held on because it was still above its yearly open. It earned the right to stay with me for the yearly open. I stayed in. I'm glad I did. Berkshire right now is starting to make highs again. I wrote out the pain and suffering in it, but I'll tell you, that's an example of going year to year. But I couldn't put you any better place than watching this 3-day algo process. You should always ask the question. I use the S&P futures to decide the degree of probability whether to be long or short. You see me do it day in and day out. And because of that, I have pretty good market timing. Like today, a lot of people were getting short this morning and losing money. I wasn't getting short and losing money. I was staying out, and staying out is a position. And then as the day unfolded, my diamond started paying me. I bought a diamond around 520. It's currently 635. You see what I do? I cherry pick the high probability trades. So if you're in any of my programs, I will trade those programs when the odds are in our favor, and I won't do it if the odds are not in our favor because I don't want you to lose money. I have to assume everybody that's listening to me doesn't have the experience I have, and that's a pretty good assumption because I've been doing this for 40 plus years. There are some people that might have that kind of experience, but I don't know if they've got the degree of experience I've had over the years to give me a broad-based approach to money. But the S&P is how I look at things and helps me analyze, interpret, and execute when it's time to do that. All right, Jonathan, trade with S&P. Now, we have forecasting tools that help us set targets inside the roadmap because I think having a target is a good thing. And we can tell you with about 4 out of 5 probability, if we get the direction right, where that stock is going. That's very valuable to a new or experienced trader. And we do that.
Now, we showcased the predictor yesterday live. Let's do it again live. I've got a chart of the S&P futures up, and I'm going to open up a predictor once we share my roadmap screen.
Yeah, and before we, I'm going to talk a little bit about a program. Let's do that last today. I want to go live because I want to bring the moneymaker up too.
Okay, what first? What do you want first here?
Let's do the moneymaker first because I've got some numbers to set in there that are a little bit different than what I started today with to update everybody.
Okay. All right, we'll add the S&P first as our benchmark. What else do you want in there, Tom?
Let's put SPX XSP QQQ, SPY, and Diamond.
Okay.
NVIDIA, and why don't you put GLD in there?
Okay. What's your numbers you want to go by?
The number you wanted to go is to the high, which is 64.91. Put that in the buy area. Buy it at 64.91. That's the high of the month. And we'll put 64.30 as the low. Michelle, we'll get to you. Okay, give us a time. Okay. Were you here yesterday, Michelle, inside the trade and trade yesterday? Okay. Yeah, because we're here every day. So don't ever wait. Just come in here for 5 minutes if you have something like you just typed, because I want you to experience good things. Okay. And that way, and you can always, as a customer of ours, email Roe at DTI Trader, and he'll get back to you. He's pretty good at doing that. Okay. At least I don't get any complaints that he doesn't get back to people. So I assume he's pretty good at getting back to people. All right. So we got John, you do it opposite me. I like it. I like on the top, the buy to be 64.91 or 90. Make it 92, 64.92 for the buy.
Yeah, for some reason the number didn't save. Let's see if we can get to save.
64.91. And then to the downside, I like 64.30.
I think what I did, Tom, is I changed the buy number and then I mistakenly changed the buy number again. I think is what happened. Now we got it updated.
Okay. Now, if you look there and you think about it, does everybody see, if you look over at the buy on the SPX there at 64.79, everybody see that? 64.79 on the SPX. And does everybody see the XSP at 643 support, 643 support right there? And everybody sees NVIDIA at 171.41 and GLD at 326 and 323. The diamond to me is the strongest market at looking at it. It said the diamond has a resistance at 455.89 and we're about 20 cents away. And so if the S&P goes to 91, that diamond's going to outperform. So that was the hot ticket today. I use this moneymaker every day. So if you're, who listens to my T-Buzz TV? If you listen to T-Buzz TV, you would have plugged in this morning 64.60 is your buy area. 64.60. And that would have told you about today. And I do that every day. I plug in my pivot number there, then I put my target in. My initial target this morning was 75. Then I moved it to 85, and now I moved it to 92. But the predictor is such a valuable thing for even experienced traders to know where these stocks should be. Okay? And so that's one reason I like the predictor. So if we get above 64.92, it tells you, oh, we forgot to put the TQQ in there, Jonathan. I like to look at the TQQ too, because I'll probably do another trade on the TQQ. Where did you send that email to, Michelle? I'm just curious. You sent it to Russ? Okay, that's unusual. Must have went to spam. Okay.
Let's do this one better here, Michelle, because obviously your emails are not getting to me. Why don't you type in your email and I'll email you directly or give you a call when we're done.
There you go. You got her email and then you can reply to that. That's a good thought, John. That's happened before, hasn't it?
Yep. Thank you.
All right. So if you look at this, the market's obviously going higher. People in my SPX knew that information. How could people in my SPX, without me telling them what to do, could have made money this morning? They could have went in on the XSP and sold the 643.42 put. Jonathan, go check the 43.42 put. Does everybody see why they could have done that? That was with me this morning in the SPX. Can you bring it up and see where it's currently trading, the 43.42?
What expiration are you looking at?
Today. I'm just showing people in SPX I have an opportunity to show them. I was adamant about not to be short, which means be long or out, right? And they could have took that information. The SPX wasn't set up to trade, but guess what was, Jonathan? XSP was. So you could have sold the 43, 42 put. Now, how much this morning that it got paid? About 35 cents. Where's it at right now? I'm pointing this out because it's going to be so valuable when I get through this beta phase of SPX. It's going to be so valuable when they know and they see those opportunities. But I'm trying to get the current price at XSP 43.42 that expires today. I sold it. Let me go check, see where it's at.
Maybe I'm not showing my screen. It's at 1 2 cents.
I'm sorry. Anybody want to learn how to make from 30 cents to 1 cent on a $1 spread, even when you can't trade the SPX? Tell me if you do. Tell me if you do. Well, if you're not in my SPX, Jonathan, put the link in there for SPX. They can get signed up in the beta version. It doesn't start September 15th. If they study all the master classes, I promise they'll be better at this game after what I do. I'm spending a lot of time teaching things like this. Okay. Now go back to the moneymaker, and I'll show you how I came to that idea. I'm going to show you how all this works together. That's how, if you want to join my beta version of there, click there and join. Okay. If you go back to the moneymaker, you see the XSP at 64.30 has a support, so you sold at 43.42. Now look at the roadmap on the S&P. Go down, Jonathan, to the low of the day of the S&P. And what time did it occur? What price?
S&P futures low of the day, 64. Well, low of the morning hour, 64.56. And that occurred between 10 and 10:30 Eastern.
56 was its low, right?
During the cash market hours, that's right.
Okay, now notice that, come over to the bar that took out the reference bar there. That bar right there. When that occurred, that's when I sold the XSP for 30 cents. Would you say that's a pretty good sell, going from 30 cents to 2 cents? How many people want to learn how to do that? Get in my beta version, SPX, there it is. See how I connect the tools together here. Now, Alfred was complaining about 6% on the TQQ. If you're still in the TQQ trade and you got some experience and got these tools, that trade right now, let me check it real quick, Adam. Yeah, it's at 10 cents. Does everybody see that? So learning and educating, you can take me getting you on the right start. If you don't like 6%, make 20% and move on. I'm trying to make some points here because new traders and people really don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Good way to say it in the South. Okay? Open your ears, listen and learn, because I can teach you how to do that. Think of the scenarios for what can go wrong versus what can go really right. This morning, long, short, or out, I said, don't be short. And I always use that S&P for timing because in a bull market, 7 out of 10 days should be high. So in a bull market, I'm going to be looking for a time to putt. Now here's a program I have. If you like high accuracy, I think they told me I had like 16 in a row here. I'm getting a lot of these programs. I might be, Carol, you think I'm a little bit more disciplined than I used to? Hitting these kind of numbers, 16 in a row? I must be getting a lot more discipline in my old age. Here's what you get. 5 alerts per week. email, Telegram, and SMS. We have on-demand class teaching how this works to increase your odds, okay? I don't know about you, but I like high probability trades. Well, if you like high probability trades, you got to be like Ed. Follow my easy entry and exit. Nothing hard about it. Easy to follow. 110% member for life. Go to dtitrader.com/moon. This is the executive summary. Try it for $97 for 30 days. I asked a question last night. Who here wants to trade strictly with probabilities on your side? This will teach you how to do it. This is overnight, Cheryl. This is overnight. These are not day trades here. Okay? This is designed to teach people the art of probability on your side. That's what we're doing. Now, Jonathan, I've been talking a long time. Chuck, I left you out. You got anything you would like to add?
Well, I think, Tom, the one thing that I'd like to add is going back to that newsletter. I think it's kind of important. The earnings reports, we got Broadcom coming up at the end of the day. So opportunities, I think there are more than just a few.
All right, Tom, we're going to play a replay of not just the executive summary, but the full summary of what the Moonlight Trading Club program is all about. I'll start the video as soon as you say go.
Yeah, the Moonlight trades, okay, will start next week on Tuesday, but I'll get my foundation out of the way, and I like to kick it off next week on Tuesday. That's when I'll do first trade on Moonlight, okay, for the month of September. Cheryl, anywhere from 50 cents to $1. 50 cents to $1. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Before we do this, before they listen to the full boat Moonlight, let's do the following. This is fun. Let's do it this way, Jonathan, okay? Let's show them how to do a buzz fly on the TQQ. And my goal here, I'm going to set a 50% profit goal on this, okay? And the buzz fly, I'm going to give it to you after we finish the full version of Moon, okay? I'm sorry, Mark, what did we do wrong? Y'all sure are critical for somebody who's not charging for this. I understand. All right, does everybody understand? We're going to listen to this, and then I'm going to come after that, and I'm going to do a TQQ trade with a 50% profit objective. Anybody want that trade? Well, you get it two ways. Get it by waiting after this, or you'll be in TNT. It'll be posted in TNT. DEX, both of them target anywhere from 20 to 40%. All right. So Jonathan, why don't you give me a call? I'll set it up. Give me a call. We'll post it before we leave in here. Okay.
The video is only about 18 minutes long, so stick around to the end. We'll go live
About
again.
20 minutes from now. Okay. All right, well, I'll come out with the trade. This is a 50% target profit on the TQQ. Okay, Jonathan? 50% is my goal.
All right, here we go. Moonlight Trading Club.
Now, what is the number one law of successful trading? Take a guess before I show you the answer. What is the number one law of successful trading? Anybody got a guess? Manage your risk. That's a good one. The answer is trade when the odds are in your favor. And that's discipline and patience and wait for the setup. Trading when the odds are in your favor. Now, what about a program that has 16 wins in a row? You think that would be a program that might apply the number one law? 16 wins in a row seems to me it would qualify. That's the kind of programs you want to be part of. We call it the Moonlight Trading Club. This service is solely dedicated to target extra income overnight thanks to the bonus premiums on zero-dated options. One is shown the power to pay right around $700 on average, and the extra income each time we have a winner. So if you multiply the last 16 trades, you're looking at probably about $10,000. Not bad. And today you can join me in the Moonlight Trading Club as the setup comes for trade number 17. It's right around the corner. Once we get entry, I would personally recommend this to my closest friends and take my own money. Who wouldn't take 16 in a row? I'll let you know when they set up. And that's up to about 200 of these per year. Now, I don't expect all 200 to be perfect like the last 16 has. But heck, if it's hot, let's do it. It's all in there when to place to trade, the option criteria, where to enter, and where to exit. Each income alert will have clear instructions how to place the trade. We do all the hard work finding it, showing the patience to wait until it's time to act. You just read the alert and follow along if you choose. Like what happened last November 7th. Alert went out, said new Moonlight Trading Club alert. That's through your email. $700 overnight on the average winner. So that means $700 is your average take every time the Moonlight takes the playing field. That's a pretty good service. If you're taking a trade, looked at the rest of the day, went out and played 18 holes of golf with maybe some buddies. Or like me, spent the evening barbecuing and tossing the football around with my granddaughter. $664 on that particular trade. And don't feel like you need to be sitting next to the computer all day long. I'm be watching this thing. I'm going to hand deliver this with a bow on top. A bow on top. I'll post a trade for 2:30. That way you got plenty of time to get in before the market's closed for the day. Now, experience the Moonlight Trading Club, be as hands-free as possible. Alongside the email alerts, we'll also be include cell phone and telephone alerts. So if you're out and about, doesn't matter, you'll find out about the trade. Like when the next opportunity occurred on November 8th. Got the email, taking the trade if you chose, and sure enough, 625 on that one overnight. Even though the S&P was going down, it worked. Between these two trades alone, could have been about 1289 in just about 2 days, less than 48 hours. Moonlighting in the late hours of the night, you're not changed to death doing this. Actually, you could have been out to lunch with some of your best friends, hanging out with the grandkids, or at one of my world-class trading experts. It is world-class. Look at Sawgrass, nothing like it. Or simply caught the alert before the close. Talked about 30 seconds to take the trade. Walked away with 1289 overnight. In fact, simple, straightforward, and all you have to do is be a subscriber to the Moonlight Trading Club, and then it's accuracy in person. We isolate the best days to do these trades where the premiums are right and the markets are stable. All the way to 81.5% accuracy. Pretty good stuff. But winning 4 out of 5 trades. Everything you need to know how to set up there. You can do more of these if you want to, because I'll teach you. That's one of the big bonuses of working with me. Apply what we're doing here to other trades if you choose, but not just that. The reason that we can now take advantage of these Moonlight trades is because that new type of option listed by the CPO just recently, you know the one I'm talking about, the zero dated options, around 24 hours until expiration. These options are becoming so powerful, they turn Wall Street's favorite way to trade. The secret sauce behind these is what makes these Moonlight trading opportunities hum. That's why in our second class, I'll walk you through everything I believe you know about these powerful options. How to use them for income or outsized gains if you want to. And it's important you pay attention, just hear what the students have been saying. Look what OED said. Easy to follow, easy to enter, easy to exit. I think easy and having confidence are very important to doing trades. They're laid out for you. The work is done, the odds are in your favor, and you are applying what we started with, putting those odds in your favor every time you trade in the Moonlight Club. Kenneth thinks I'm an excellent coach, trainer, or trader, easy to follow, and he joined our VIP program. Now, of course, regardless how good the back-tested research results show, not every trade's going to work out. Never risk more than you can afford to lose on any one single trade. And luckily, you don't have to. Take these Moonlight trades as little as $80 on average. And if you're trading small, that's okay. Where you're starting with 1,000, I prefer you start small and grow it, or even up to $1 million. They will take that in size. Focus on the trainings, understand the process. Get the hang of these straightforward Moonlight income trades and scale it over time. And if that doesn't matter to you, or who you are, young or old, been trading for 10 years or less, whatever you do, you can be part of this program. Look at those trades, $4,000 approximately right there. And it's still counting. Remember, 16 in a row. We're perfecting this sucker as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So we have a special to give you a chance to get a try. Maybe about 250 of you will want to do it. We'll see. Opportunity in your inbox up to 5 times per week. Each one's designed to target extra income. What will it cost? Well, if you join tonight, we've got a special. You won't be paying the $29.97. You won't pay the retail rack rate, $19.97. You get a better deal because I'm live tonight and we're talking about it. For New Members Day, we're going to offer 2 special bonuses to kick off the brand new Moonlight Trading Club. After analyzing all this data, I want you to try it, and we fixed it where you can. In fact, when you count for all the trade examples, winners and losers combined, you're looking at about $25,000 in value. There it is, net profit. Just follow along, take the trades. Not like investing in S&P 500 when you do the Moonlight. Profit, 24,000 versus 1125 doing the S&P. Which one do you want to do? Let's make this a no-brainer. We got everybody here a chance to get involved at the lowest price we offer. Here it is. With up to 5 trades each week when they set up. $3,500 a week goes to dtitrader.com/moon or call 904-706. That's right. Try it out for $97. Find out over the next month if this program is going to grow your account or not. But for $97, you can be with me as the Moonlight Trading Club takes the playing field. We've got another day and a half to finish out our 3-day algo. We're ready to kick it off. I hope you're ready. I'm ready. Who's ready? Who's going to take this deal? Do it now. Only $97 for 30 days. Now, remember, the clock is ticking. We got 24 hours before the world of trading opens up for the month of September. Get the bonus premium for these overnight hours. I'll show you how it works. Sidestep a lot of that market volatility. When things work out, you get paid pretty quick here, pretty quick. Is that your watch? This is an exciting time to join Moonlight. It's the ultimate moonlighting opportunity. Happened back on November 18th. Spent all day staring at charts. We don't do that. We don't bang our heads against a brick wall hoping to find an edge. We have an edge. dtitrader.com/moon. Take about 30 seconds. Place to trade. Smile all the way. Clocked out for the day. Maybe go out to dinner, movie. Maybe play a little golf. I played a little bit this afternoon, and sure enough, the next day, $883 overnight. And the best part is, with this method I'm talking about, you're practicing the #1 law of trading, only trading when the odds are in your favor. You have a check to collect even when the stock market maybe doesn't do what you wanted to do with the setup I've engineered. Like on November 19th, when the S&P fell, made $625 there. Like I said, get started. Take this $97 for 1 month access. Try it out. 904-706-3532. How much do you need? Remember, the trades are small price trades, $80. Some are less than 50. Now, will every trade be a winner? I've covered this 1,000 times. Of course not. Not every trade's going to be a winner. We're not going to win 100% of the time, but you're playing the odds. If I give you the trade, you're playing the odds. Write this down. You're playing the odds if I give you the trade. How do I know that? Ask anybody here that's traded with me for any length of time. Ask them. You got 14 days to try it out. If you're not satisfied, reach back. Can you trade this in IRA? Of course you can. It's retirement account friendly. Next Moonlight trade, well, that information will come to you if you're part of the $97 trial program for 1 month only. Got any questions? Call us at 904-706-3532. How do you start your own Moonlight trading project in the stock market? I'm going to show you. Click the link in the chat and I'll show you. Like I said, tonight's the night. Moonlight taking the field. dtitrader.com/moon. Folks, there it is. It's simple. It's straightforward. If you want to practice good steps in making your trades, the Moonlight program will teach you. And guess what? You can see it for yourself. None of the chatter in the background. You'll see it for yourself over the next month at $97. Gwen just joined for a lifetime. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Smart, smart, smart. That's
All right, folks, that replay is just about done. That was from last night's midweek market update. Of course, today's training trade offer is exact same. 1 month of the Moonlight program for $97. You can go to detachorder.com/moon to get there, or you can give us a call at 904-706-3532. A lot of questions in the chat about what type of options are traded. It's a mixture of long calls and or long puts, with some mixed in with debit call spreads, debit put spreads, and even a few credit spreads as well. So it's all those strategies combined. Probably an equal mix of each, I would probably say, looking at this. Let's see what else questions we have here. How's the service done? 16 trades in a row, just like Tom said. And the profit factor is 1.91. So good profit factor as well. But go to dtitrader.com/moon, test drive it for 1 month, $97. And Tom has a trade to give. I don't know if Tom had to step away. I'm not sure he's back, but I've got the trade from him. It's going to be a TNT trade. So I'm going to type this up and get ready to send it out to TNT. And when it's ready to type up, I'll show it on the screen. So bear with me just a moment, and you'll see Tom's trade. Well, David says, what does a profit factor of 1.9 mean? It means that Tom wins almost twice as much as he loses, essentially. You can look up the exact definition of it, David, but that's essentially what it means. Win more than you lose is the goal, and Tom does it pretty well. Pretty well. All right, let me type up this trade. It's on the TQQQ. September 26th is the expiration. T-Buzz Talk and Trade is the program is going to, as it always is, for these trades that Tom does for the train and trade sessions. T-Buzz Talk and Trades, where it's going. And you should be able to see the trade that's being sent out to the TNT program here on the slide here on the screen. It's a TQQ trade, technically a debit call spread, expires September 26th, with this 22 days away. Buying the 91 call, selling the 94 call against it. That's a spread. The net debit is going to be around $1.40 to $1.50. And Tom's target is 219, good till cancel. All right, there it is in the chat as well, because I'm about to take the screen sharing back over to our Moonlight Trading Club slide, if I can find it. So once again, thanks for being here today. Tom got his trade off on the TQQQ. It's going to the TNT program, T-Buzz Talk and Trade program, where all of the trades from Train and Trade are issued. I'll post a slide deck for today in just a moment. But once again, go to dtatrader.com/moon, MOON, if you want to take advantage of this 1 month trial, or call us at 904-706-3532. I'll stick around for a few minutes, try to answer any questions that are in the chat, but have a great rest of your day. On the schedule for today, let's say today's Thursday, let's go check the schedule. see what we got the rest of the day. All right, so that's it in terms of Tom's live presentations today. He'll be live again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for Train and Trade. If you're part of his free retirement center, Telegram education, we have a 2 p.m. Eastern time session tomorrow afternoon, and we have the weekly wrap up tomorrow afternoon as well. And of course, if you have the roadmap software, I'll be live this afternoon at the closing bell, 4 p.m. We'll go for about 30 minutes of roadmap education. And if you have roadmap or MTI by DTI, you'll get an invite to that session this afternoon. So I'm gonna go quiet, but if you ask any questions in the chat for the next 5 minutes, I'll stick around to answer. And again, have a great rest of your day. Yeah, great question. If you have any program with Tom and you're not sure how to enter a trade like this, go to the members site, oneclicktrading.com, and go to your service, in this case, Moonlight Trading Club, if that's the case, and find the Options Made Simple series. It's usually called Options Made Simple. It's a 10-part video series, and in that collection of videos, you'll find, and this is a debit call spread, so you'll find an actual video labeled debit option spreads, I believe is what it's called. All right, now the Options Made Simple series works totally fine on my computer, regardless of what browser I use. But I've had a couple people say they can't open that video series. So if that in fact ends up being you, that you have some technical issues getting that to play for you, just shoot me an email, Roe@DTI Trader, and I'll send you the videos that way. All right. And he asked a good question. He's trying to put the trade into E-Trade, and they are requiring him to fill out a form, acknowledge that it's called a leverage inverse ETF acknowledgement. This is, in this case, the TQQ is not an inverse ETF, but it is a leveraged ETF. And the SQQQ would be the inverse, but the TQQQ is just, it follows the same direction as the QQQ. It is a leveraged product, and you are required to, sign the agreement that you understand that leverage means, in theory, more risk. Might be more risk involved, right? Usually with leverage products, it's going to move more one way or the other compared to the QQQ, it'll move more. I think it's a 2x, if I'm not mistaken, Andy. But yes, you do have to sign that form from the broker saying you understand that leverage products bring more risk. What will the cost be after $97 a month? Car ride, I'm not exactly sure. I don't keep track of that, but once you go in for 97, you're offered the yearly price, I believe, or perhaps even the VIP membership as well. All right, folks. One last time, go to dcatchradio.com/moon if you want to take time up on the 1-month trial for $97. dtiradio.com/moon. Or if you'd prefer to just talk to us, call us at 904-706-3532. We'll see you tomorrow morning.